welcome to the next video on my channel. We're covering the LEC in this one as we do the roster rankings. Just kind of pounding out all these roster ranking videos on the same day. I think you're going to see this one on Wednesday or Thursday. So this is based off of my opinion, more so than the stats. Stats obviously play a big role in my opinions, but you obviously saw that sometimes during the preview videos when I went over each team, I would say, hey, you know what? I don't really agree with what the stats are saying here or there. Not to mention rookies were not, ranked, which were affecting the results as well. If you're new to the channel, I do predictions for members only. It's like $10 a month or something. So if you want to know who I think are going to win games, join members only on YouTube. So we're going to work our way backwards. First, we have Vitality, Knock-Knocko, Linkus, Zajac, Carzzy, and Hilly. So, bot lane duo, obviously, known commodities. Top side, not so much. Knock-Knocko took a 2023 off, I believe, returned in 2024, and was pretty coin flippy. I mean, mechanically pretty good, but in the end did not come away with a ton of results statistically from that. It was one of those things. I think I even said in the Vitality video, there's an argument to be made that maybe Trayson should have had that spot, and instead he's on Heretics as a backup. So with that in mind, we got Linkus, we got Zajac. I'm going to make this team below average. That bot lane duo is capable enough of bringing that team out of the basement, probably get themselves to the playoffs. But theoretically, I don't expect them to get much farther than that. If the team continues to improve, if Linkus, Linkus can be what he was projected to be. When he was a prospect, who knows what'll happen? If Knock-Knocko can come through in a big way, that's also something. Heretics, Carlson in top lane, also a rookie. We have Sheo in the jungle, one of the best European junglers the last couple of years. Camilo in mid. Camilo is coming from D2 LFL, which is a bold thing to do, one of the younger mid laners in the world. Then you have Flackid and Stend. This roster is at the bottom. Now, that with all its rookies, though, it has potential. It has a lot of potential. It's the mid lane where there's a problem because you have no safety valve there. They have not signed a backup to, backup Camille in case he doesn't pan out in the spring split. Similarly to Vitality, Vitality still has Vatio on Vitality B. So if push came to shove, Vatio could still join the team and theoretically they'd be okay. I understand they were terrible last year with Vatio, but he's a commodity that we know. He's a player that we've seen. But Heretics really don't have that insurance policy in the mid lane role. In top lane, Trayson is there, and honestly, he should probably be starting over Carlson, but Carlson's also a player that is nearly at LEC level. But Flackid is just not a carry threat like you need. This team just lacks carry threat. It really does. BDS, we've got Irrelevant in top lane, leaving SK, joining the squad. You've got 113. I think he'll be okay alongside Nuke. It's better for him now than he was with Astralis and Ice and Paris. Now, Paris is a player that is very high octane. I think that he is going to be very fun to watch one way or the other, and I want to see his development through the season. I think he has one of the highest potentials out of all the rookies going into this year because of his aggressive play style, wide champion pool. 113. I'd like to see how he does. Irrelevant. This is the best team he's been on. Nuke took a step back last year. Ice should be, a solid bot lane option. I'm going to go BDS as average, in part due to the fact that I really like that bot lane duo. I think Paris is going to be a good player, and as long as a player like 113 can just do his job on the top side of the rift, I think that they'll be fine. SK. So SK is GiantX Isma, Reeker, Rahel, and Loopy. So Rahel was very good in the summer best of ones, but when things started to get going in the playoffs, things dropped off alongside Luan. I don't think Loopy. I doubt Loopy is much better than Luan, so that's a thought that we need to consider. Now, there's a lot of preparation involved this year that Rahel really didn't have last year. I think that'll help. GiantX is more irrelevant. Might have been better than GiantX at his. How do I word this? Irrelevant, I think, has a higher ceiling than GiantX, but GiantX, I think, has a higher floor. And that, given the fact that he's a veteran, one of the older top laners in Tier 1, he's a stable player on the top side that can offer some carry threat. Reeker dealt a lot of damage last season. He may be making a step forward. He's in the, he's already had an opportunity. So those jitters should come out pretty early on this season. Like, at first he may, be nervous or whatever, but I think that should kind of be shaken off given the fact that, hey, he's already been here before. He should be prepared for this moment. Isma's got to step it up. He's played a couple years now. He needs to, maybe he's only played one. Has he played 2 or 1? Who was SK's jungler in 23? Sheo, Yike, and 113. Yeah, he's only played 1. Well, Isma, I guess, gets a longer leash. Regardless, I think that with the Korean bot lane duo, this team ends up average basically by default. I think that bot lane duo does quite well for themselves and is an upper half bot lane duo. And then, actually, no, this is a below average team. I don't really love. Isma's got to make things happen for this team, and I don't really know if he's going to do it or not. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, and I did not really like what Rahel brought to the table out of best of ones last year. I think that there is potential for them to be average for sure, but unlike a team like BDS has younger players than SK, and therefore I feel like BDS has more potential. Pretty much. Rogue is a solid average team. So statistically, every one of their players ranked 5th. And honestly, how wrong is it really? Is Adam meh? Yeah. Malrung, some people could say he's bad. I think he's meh because as a carry, well, not as a carry, as a carry, he's not reliable. But as a facilitator, he can carry via facilitating, unlike many junglers in the world. Like, he is one of the most pure facilitating, low resource junglers, glorified support jungler. Like, he is very efficient in that way. If you allow him to get going in the early game, watch out. Larson, middle of the road now at this point as we get younger blood in the LEC and they're coming in with some aggression. Patrick, middle of the road. And Execute, formerly Zhanghoon, middle of the road. So this team is just middle of the road. It's as simple as that. I think that they're a gatekeeper team. I think if these teams down here or even BDS don't perform at their best, Rogue will punish them because they're veterans. They've been here before. They know how to turn a lead into a win. But they're not going to go out of their way in the early game if you keep Malrung under control. Rogue, I don't feel like has the potential to come back. So if they're down at 15 minutes, I don't think they're coming back. But if you're down against them at 15 minutes and you're a team that just isn't really at 100% that day, you're not on your game, they're going to punish you and they're going to beat you. Koi, I think, are good. So this is going to be the puzzling thing here is as we get to the West right now, I put the best team I had in the power rankings in the LEC under good. Now, this is throughout the entire year, thinking about it, but still. I like to see how JoJo performs with this team. A team that, from what I understand, the coach is very serious isn't the word, but has expectations and standards for their players, and their participation in solo queue and how they handle themselves and this and that. Now, if JoJo, we saw it was well documented and things that people were saying that he had, health issues, etc. If he has those health issues, it is what it is. It's an unfortunate thing, and Koi have to work around that. You're aware of it now. Now, if Cloud9 weren't aware of it when they signed him, then that's, something happened there that needed to occur. Because clearly, C9 said, hey, we want to move on from JoJo due to this, that, and the third. And who knows if that's actually the case. We only hear one side of the story or, bits and pieces. And the truth is a mix of it all. So if JoJo fits into this Koi roster and fits like a glove and just, he's obviously an improvement over Frescowi, even if he plays like he did last year. Koi go from a good team to a great team. Like, they're very competitive. Supa is very aggressive. Mirwin as well. Alvaro also. And the thing is, like, an aggressive team has a lot more potential against the East than a team that's going to sit back and play until 20 minutes and lose the team fight and lose the game and drop out in group stage, essentially, or now Swiss stage. Because that's kind of how I view most of the teams in the West. Koi are one of those teams that has a potential with their aggression to be better than that. And JoJo fits that. KC, we've got Kana in top lane. He should be one of the better top laners in the LEC. He's a little older now, one of the older top laners in the world. But I think that he is still upper half. Yike is arguably the best. Vladi should continue to improve. Kalist is high octane. We'll see what happens with him and Targamas. I think this team is average. I think that there's a lot more to like about this team than Vitality or SK, in part due to, Kalist. You've got a solid top side in Kana. Kana, now that the communication thing should be worked out, I think Kana, if push comes to shove, can weak side. And if he weak sides and plays solid, then Yike can clearly focus on getting Kalist and Targamas in a good position. Kalist is a high resource player that handled all those resources. How do I want to say this? He shouldered the load and did not waver on KC in the LFL and in EU Masters. And I expect him to continue to do that. The only thing that could hurt this team, I think that it drops down to here if fans don't shut the fuck up when things go wrong because they can't help themselves. That's kind of the thing. Like, the fans are going to play a big role in whether this team succeeds or fails because they can't shut their mouth. Because you have a very young player that is going to be the face of European League of Legends this year, at least off the rip. And hell, even in Western League of Legends in general, he is the most hyped player in the West right now. So, just let him play the game, let him improve, get better as the season goes along, and maybe, people will be surprised by what happens. GiantX, we have Lot, we have Closer, Jackies, Noah, and June. So the bot side and mid, you have Jackies, who I could argue going at the end of this season could be a top 3 mid in the LEC. Right now, I think he is third, but right alongside JoJo and Larson. But he's going to be a lot closer to Caps and Humanoid than he is right now. Like, there's a clear separation, in my opinion. And people say, yeah, well, Humanoid does this, that, and the third at Worlds. Well, he gets there because he smokes a player like Jackie's or something in the season and then goes to Worlds. Like, there's a reason why he gets there. And Jackie's was behind at 15 minutes in the majority of his games. His goal differences were negative. So that has to improve. His laning has to improve. But he has immense potential. Lot is a young player. Very inexperienced. Kicked around in the TCL for a while. Is going to have to be a weak side, in my opinion. Closer, a low resource jungler, facilitator. But Noah June, much more, we've seen them, we've seen them together, and we know that's a solid bot lane duo. With that in mind, I'm making GiantX average. Am I making? Yes, I am. I don't think BDS and them are that far off of each other. Which is kind of a cop out. You know, like these tier lists are all cop outs, but people love tier lists. I don't. Whatever. So GiantX, right alongside BDS and Rogue and KC. We'll see what happens, right? Like KC, if Jackies can continue to improve and Lot shows up and can weak side, just like KC needs Kalis to show up and Vladdy to improve, they can be a little better. BDS, if Paris can look very good, if 113 can look good. Rogue, on the other hand, they're going to be average. There is no, I don't see a world where Rogue are good. Rogue can have a good record, but by the end of the season, they're that team that I was just talking about that I could see playing to 20 minutes at an international event and losing and being and getting out of Swiss stage without a win. Like that's the sort of team I look at when I see Rogue. And hell, that's kind of been, well, no, Rogue got to quarters once or twice. Definitely once, but might have been twice. G2, BB and Caps, best in roll. Hansama, I don't have near the top. Statistically, he was not near the top. We know Hans is one of the better AD carries in Europe, but is one of the oldest ones. Lebrav, one of the better supports in Europe. Skuman needs to get things done. Now, the difference is between the rookies in Paris, Kalist, and Lot is that Skuman has the protection of Caps and BB and Hans. Like, G2 are going to be fine. G2, like, I don't care about winner rankings versus this, that, and the third. Like, these rankings are truly trying to go all the way through the season. I don't. How a team does in Fearless is kind of whatever to me. I just want to see improvement, especially out of a team with young players. Can the young developing prospects continue to take a step forward? You know, when they hit a wall, can they, you know, move on from that? G2 and Skuman, he's going to have a lot of pressure because he's on the org that is the one that's expected to do the best out of the West year in and year out. So we'll see what happens. And then good Fnatic. So Fnatic, pretty much a better version than Rogue. Can they figure out how to play out the mid to late game this season, unlike they did last year, especially at Worlds? We saw them, you know, struggle. With Mickey, maybe. Mickey can, you know, shot call for him. Upset gives them a solid 80 carry, but they already had that in Noah. If not, Noah's a different player, a little more aggressive than Upset. But Upset and Mickey could weak side. And, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of tough in a way because Upset and Mickey could weak side. I think Upset you could leave in lane by himself. He's going to play for KDA, so therefore he has the mindset to not die, which is kind of what you want when you put your 80 carry by themselves, and Mickey goes around the rift, tries to make something happen with Razork. This frees up Oscarinen to not play facilitators and tanks all the time, which is definitely not what he's good at. He's better at carry-oriented champions. That's kind of been his thing since he started in the league. So this team kind of fits. The puzzle pieces should work. And thus, I think that they're going to be one of the better teams simply because of that. I have that inkling, which, I mean, these rankings have not been too crazy or you know, out of pocket this season. I'm not trying to do anything too wild like some people are. It's just, I think this is kind of how it's going to end up. And out of those average 4 teams, I believe the teams that have the only team that doesn't have a chance to compete with the others on their best day are Rogue. I don't think Rogue, if Koi, G2, or Fnatic are playing at their best, Rogue have a chance to beat them. Where the other 3, I think if their rookies continue to improve by the end of the season, they could get into that conversation for the 3rd spot if things go right on the season finals patch. So thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.